Mrs. Twigg, why did you decide to pursue this? As bad a mistake as may have been made, why did you decide to pursue it and run the risk of disrupting another family?
Irregardless of the fact that she was raised with someone else, she still has roots with us, and she is part of our family.
Regina was unwavering in her attempts to connect with Kimberly, and there were people around her who wondered why she just didn't let it go. Yes, she was a mother, but there was something more than that. When stories about the swap were in the headlines, there would be a sentence or two about Regina's background, but they only touched on what her childhood had been like. If you talk to her today, the story of her childhood is as mind-boggling as the one about the swap.
Regina grew up in a town by the river in Ohio, and she was poor.
My name is John David Carr, Jr. I'm Regina Twigg's brother. There was 4 of us, 2 older sisters, Regina and myself.
My mother used to sing to us, and she loved us very much. She was a good, good mother. What happened to her, she did not deserve. Homer Gibbons was my biological dad, and he was a chronic alcoholic.
My father was a big brute, 6'6", 6'8", 350 pounds. He was a heavy drinker, and my mother was very small and skinny, and he just abused her.
He didn't want the responsibility of us, so he accused my mother of being mentally ill, and he just dragged off to a mental institution, and she was not mentally ill. I just remember us sitting in the back seat, and they took her out of the car screaming and crying for her children. That is forever etched in my memory.
Regina and her siblings were placed in a children's home.
I remember laying in a crib-like bed, looking up at the ceiling. It was very lonely. It was just like we were kind of just there.
It was a brick building. I remember looking out the window at the river, wondering what was out on the other side.
When you looked out the window of the children's home, you could see the barges on the Ohio River, and I would sing, "My heart longs for you," because I missed my mother. My heart longs for you, cries for you, sighs for you.
The people in charge in the orphanage were mostly teenagers themselves, so the children were left pretty much on their own and had to kind of supervise themselves.
The girls that watched us wanted to fondle the little kids, and another little girl told me, "Look out for them. If they come around you, start to scream." So that's what I did, and they left me alone.
We had one that was just absolutely the meanest thing that ever walked the face of the earth. If you peed your bed, she would take and stick your head in the toilet and flush it. And we had a closet, so if you got out of line, they would stick you in that closet and leave you. Today, they would be all charged with child abuse.
In the orphanage, the boys and the girls were kept separate, but they would see each other at playtime, and they would run to the edge of the fence and touch each other through the links of the fence.
Regina and I used to talk through the fence together, and that was our time together. She was feisty, and she didn't let any of the kids pick on me. As long as she was there, I felt safe. So if I told her what was happening, she would make us think about it.
After a few years, a little sister, a half-sibling of Regina's, came to live at the orphanage. Regina watched her siblings disappear as they were taken off for adoption, and her biological family became smaller and smaller. At one point, Regina watched as her younger sister was being taken. A man held one of her hands and a woman held the other hand, and they walked away toward a car.
I was 9 years old when I was adopted by Reginald and Vivian Burge.
And all of a sudden one day she's not there. Well, what happened to her? Well, she's been adopted. And that's kind of hard. I didn't have anybody anymore.
They changed my name from Mary Lee to Regina Iris. My adopted mother said to me about my biological family, "Oh, just forget them." She says, they're not a part of your life anymore and they never will be.
When Regina was 12, her father came up from behind and began to molest her.
I was saying, "Daddy, Daddy, let me go." And the adoptive mother heard me saying that, and she came in and let him have it between his eyeballs about, that just wasn't going to happen. I was in middle school, and they put me in the gifted class. That was not easy for me because I had a hard time with math. So I would come home every 6 weeks with my report card, and I would have a D on my report card in math. So my adopted mother would have my adopted dad take me down to the cellar. I had to remove my clothes except my bra and my panties. And I got beat with a belt from my waist down to my back of my legs.
As soon as Regina graduated from college, she left home and started an independent life.
I moved to Akron, Ohio and got an apartment. And I wanted to find my brother, and I was able to secure his phone number. He only lived 5 miles away from me. So I was just walking 10 feet off the ground.
Regina was contacted by her twin sisters. They had also found her mother, and they had taken her mother out of the mental institution.
We hugged each other, and she understood that my name had been changed to Regina. But I told her, I said, "I'll always be your Mary Lee. I'll always be your little Mary Lee mom."
It was good that I could reconnect with people that I had shared my early childhood with. And I still have a relationship with my sisters.
When I was 26 years old, I married Ernest Lee Twigg. We met and ended up getting married 3 months later. Having lost my brothers and sisters, having lost my mother, I feel like when I met my husband, he was my knight in shining armor, and this was my happiness. And so I have lived for my family. This is my reason for living.
She was determined that she was going to be the best mom she could be. And when she was going through this business with finding her child and all those battles, that's what gave her backbone and spine, was her background there at that orphanage and having to stand up for ourselves.
Regina wasn't going to be stopped. Bob Mays wasn't going to be stopped either. So now what?
We didn't know where this would go. There had been no other case like this.
It was almost like the perfect storm. The Twiggs are convinced that it was you who caused the switch. Do you have anything to say about that?
Hi everyone, George Stephanopoulos here. Thanks for checking out the ABC News YouTube channel. If you'd like to get more videos, show highlights, and watch live event coverage, click on the right over here to subscribe to our channel, and don't forget to download the ABC News app for breaking news alerts. Thanks for watching.